by-election and another one taking place in Wakefield will be seen by many as a test of the popularity of Boris Johnson's government. Last night, the first public hustings were held in Tiverton Community Arts Theatre, organised by the non-politically affiliated OUR TIVVY High School campaign group. The candidates who took part were Tory Helen Herford, Labour's Liz Pole, Richard Ford for the Lib Dems and Green Jill Westcott. Some of the issues raised included the cost of living, climate change, refugees and the integrity of the Prime Minister. These audience members told our political reporter Ewan Murray what they thought about the performances of the candidates.
The candidates that tended to stand out to me were the Liberal Democrats. Labour were also very good, and the Green Party.
I vote depending on the different issues that are presented, so I don't necessarily vote for a particular party. I'm still undecided, but I will go away and I will think very hard about what I have heard today.
Who stood out for you tonight?
The lady from the Green Party, I think, was very eloquent.
I usually vote for Conservative. I still will, because I felt that our candidate really did well.
So I am a socialist. However, I have voted Green in the past, Independent, Lib Dem and Labour. This election is incredibly important to me because it's our one opportunity to get rid of a Tory. And so myself and my Socialist and Labour lefty friends will be voting Lib Dem.
I think Helen came across very well indeed. I was very proud of her, and I think she did an extremely good job tonight.
What did you make of the issues that came up? What was most interesting to you?
I think they're all very interesting, all very topical of what the public are thinking about at the moment. I think she came across very well indeed.
Well, I've always voted Liberal Democrat, and I'm very happy with what was being said tonight.
Well, I'm not old enough to vote, so I was more kind of getting a flavour of what was kind of going on. But from what I thought, I think Liz Pole was the best candidate there.
You're a district councillor for the Conservatives.
That's correct, yes.
Just introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Clive Eggington.
What did you make of Helen's performance?
I thought it was excellent. I thought she dealt with every subject that came before her exceptionally well. One has to say one expects heckling at a meeting like this, and there was obviously some heckling when you have the three other parties effectively in opposition to her opinion.
Some of the thoughts there of people at the first public hustings that was held in Tiverton Community Arts Theatre last night. George Parker is political editor of the Financial Times and was chairing last night's debate, and he joins us now. Good morning, George.
Morning.
So which of the candidates performed most strongly last night, in your view?
Well, look, it was great to see them all on the platform together and having a proper debate, and the questions were great. It was a lively audience. There was a bit of heckling, as you say, probably just the right amount, didn't go over the top. I thought all the candidates performed pretty well, actually. I think speaking to people afterwards, everyone was quite impressed by the Green candidate, Jill Westcott. Richard Ford, the Liberal Democrat candidate, he's a former army major, and I was very impressed by his punctual timekeeping. I set everyone a 2-minute limit on their answers, and he had a little clock in front of me, stopped dead on 2 minutes, which is sort of military precision. Helen Herford, the Conservative candidate, obviously had a tough time, partly because of the dynamic of something like that, where you've got the opposition candidates all sort of basically ganging up on her and having a go at Boris Johnson. And I thought Liz Pole, the Labour candidate, performed well too. So it was a good night and good for democracy, I think.
What do you think the issues were, the most important ones, the ones that seemed to be most important to the audience were?
I think the ones that attracted the most heat, I would say, obviously cost of living was an important issue for everyone, but the issues that I think probably got the audience going most were on the questions of the Prime Minister's character, whether you can believe him, the resignation of his ethics advisor yesterday. That certainly attracted a lot of heat, I would say.
Yeah.
And the other one was Rwanda and the government's policy of deporting migrants to Rwanda. Again, another one which sort of aroused emotions. I say they were the ones that got people in the audience going most.
Not so much on the local issues then?
Well, no, look, I mean, there were local issues as well. There were sections on farming and very passionate intervention from people saying that farmers are suffering because of the transition from the old pre-Brexit agricultural regime to the new one. Lots of stuff on climate change as well. And the big issue, sorry, I should have mentioned this at the start, the biggest issue of the night was the campaign to rebuild Tiverton High School, which is a school I went to 40 years ago. And to be honest, it looks extremely familiar to me. In fact, exactly the same as it was when I left 40 years ago. That was probably the most passionate one.
And why do you think, George, is there so much national interest in this by-election here in Devon?
Well, look, it's a rock-solid Conservative seat. It's been a Conservative seat since 1920. It's got the Conservative majority of over 24,000. If the Liberal Democrats were to win that seat, it would be the biggest majority ever demolished in a by-election in Britain's history. So, it's a very big moment. And what, of course, people will be looking at is the danger to Boris Johnson posed by the Liberal Democrats, particularly in seats in the south of England and in the southwest, of course. And I think that will spook a lot of Conservative MPs. And of course, it's a week to go now until we know the result. But the bookmakers, at least, have the Liberal Democrats as odds on to win it. I think it's probably going to be closer than that, but it's going to be a fascinating night.
And I think you've touched on this already, really. But how come you found yourself chairing this debate?
Well, basically, I went to Tiverton High School back in the 1980s and grew up locally. And so the people organising the debate were trying to raise awareness of the need to rebuild Tiverton High School, which is the only state secondary school in the town. And they invited me to come down and host it. And in fact, I was on the stage, and I mentioned at the start, the last time I was on the stage in the school hall, I was performing in the school carol concert. So it was quite a nostalgic night. It was great to be back. But the school does need a bit of love and attention in terms of the fabric of the building, at least.
Brilliant. George, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's George Parker, the political editor of the Financial Times. And just to say, you can access a full list of the candidates standing in the election by visiting the BBC News website. And that hustings is available to watch via the Fund OUR TIVVY High Twitter page.